November is National Adoption Month, and in America, 3 out of every 5 families are touched by adoption. I speak from experience because my family's one of them. Adoption is something very dear to me. My husband Andy and I had 2 biological children. Then we adopted 2 children. I thought our family was complete until God stirred my heart.
Children to this maze. Anyway, the bottom line is we got...
During a television interview, a couple told me about 3 sisters they met in a Ukrainian orphanage. The couple was approved to adopt only 2 children. So the oldest sister said she would stay behind, so her 2 sisters would have the opportunity to have a real family. What type of child is willing to make such a sacrifice? I couldn't get it out of my thoughts. I prayed, God, bring a family to adopt those girls. Little did I know it would be my own. The willingness to embrace another adoption didn't happen overnight. I already had 4 children. I imagined the chaos of 7. Andy and I clearly felt God calling us to become parents to these 3 little girls. But to be honest, I was looking for someone who would say, Terry, are you insane?
Bye, honey.
I mean, this was adopting 3 girls at once. We should have been concentrating on sending our kids to college. Instead, we would be back to kids in grade school. God, I don't think I can do this. I just thought I'm not big enough for this. This is a huge job, and it's too important. You know, if I blow this, I mean, are they suffering in the orphanage? Yes, but wow, God, I mean, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be everything they probably need us to be, and we're not perfect parents in any way. And I felt like God kind of chuckled and said, you're not gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna come with me. So with God's promise to help, we added 3 wonderful Ukrainian girls to our family. Sophia, age 9, Zoya, 11, and Elisa, 12. Today, I've found adopting and raising children is not without its challenges, but it's very fulfilling to know you've given a child a better life, a Christian heritage, and a chance to know God. Well, along the journey, can I just say, I have often wished there had been a compilation of some kind of information, advice, wisdom that I never was able to find. But we have a guest who's put that all together for us. And joining us for more on adoption is Mardie Caldwell. She's the founder of Lifetime Adoption and also the author of this new book, Adoption, Your Step-by-Step Guide. Mardie, welcome to the 700
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Talk a little bit about how adoption became a part of your life.
Well, many years ago, I had suffered 7 pregnancy losses and 1 set of twins, and it was really difficult. And I really felt that there were people that needed help. And I started a small support group of people, and it grew larger and larger. And before we knew it, we were adopting. We had a very difficult adoption domestically. So I found that it was a passion that I had. I always wanted to be a mommy since I was a little girl. I came from a family of 5 children, the oldest. And so I started out and adopted, and then started helping other people have that dream too come through. And women would come to me and say, I can't take care of this baby. Can you help me find a family? So Terry, it really just kind of came into the whole thing, and God was there through the whole process. Actually, when I wanted to adopt again, he had bopped me on the head and said, you know what, if you have more children, you can't do what you're doing today for me. Yeah. And so for me, that was important. So I said, I have to find a home for every child there is. And there's so many kids out there right now that are needing homes.
You know, there are so many wonderful, open-hearted people who see the need, want to meet the need. And when I say there are challenges that we've faced and that I know others have, I'm not suggesting people shouldn't do it, but it helps to know up front what you're going to be confronting, especially with adopting older children. What are some of the challenges of adopting?
You know, challenges is that, remember, every person on earth, we all have our own baggage, our own history. And so we have to be very open to that, and really education is the key. And that's why I've written the books and do teleconferences and stuff, because people need to learn prior to them taking that step what to expect, not to be fearful, but to know about it. Do you know more people plan for their wedding, their remodel, their vacation than they do for their adoption? And that's really sad. So you're right. people need to know what's going to be the challenge of a newborn, older child, a transracial adoption, and there's so much out there, and people, it's just a matter of asking and not being fearful to take the next step, but they need to take action steps every single day if they feel like they've been called to adoption.
Well, and then there's the other side of the coin. I think most loving people who know a child is in a precarious situation think, oh, we're going to go adopt this child, they're going to come and integrate into our family, have loving, grateful hearts, and we're all going to be one big happy group, but there's a lot of acclamation for the child.
It's the honeymoon stage, and you have to realize you have to look at your life through the child's eyes. And this is why I tell people when they're adopting internationally, you may be sleeping on a mat for a while and eating food that you're not familiar with, but become familiar with the language, the food, the culture prior to adopting so that there isn't a big change, because it's going to be a change anyway. One little boy, when he saw ice cubes the first time, screamed. He had never seen ice cubes. So international has some different ones than domestic adoption does.
I love the fact that you are involved in domestic adoption. And I love that because, you know, people often say to me, well, do we have orphanages in America? Well, we really don't, because we have a foster care system.
Right, exactly.
But you can get stuck in that system, never belong, never have a family, never have anyone to care.
And they're aging kids out right now. And I was a foster mom, and children are going out without having any family, with any direction, and they're getting involved in things they shouldn't be getting involved with. So I believe it's very important for me. I feel that I've been called to do domestic adoption. And right now we have children that are in utter poverty. Right now we've got over 400 women at Lifetime Center, Adoption Center, looking at adoption. And these children, a lot of them have no food, they don't have the clothing. The systems are letting them down, so they're coming, and the parents are looking at adoption for their children. So now more than ever, just like during the Depression, we're seeing more and more children that are coming to adoption, parents coming that are going to need to look at adoption for their children.
Talk about Lifetime Adoption Center.
A Lifetime Adoption Center was founded out of my own adoption and in wanting to help people in 1986. And now we have 28, I think, employees, and we work 24 hours a day, open 7 days a week to help women find families. And so Lifetime Adoption
You're talking about birth mothers who are looking for families for their children.
But also a real need right now for Christian families. If people have been called to adoption, actually the name of my new book is Called to Adoption, for adopted parents, but if they feel like they have that inside, that need to really adopt and they want to, I don't think they should be fearful of the cost or the time. There are a lot of myths around adoption, and I think a lot of people need to realize that there are possibilities. If God's calling you, He's going to provide. They have to believe, and they have to hold on to that. And there are support and there's resources out there, but many people just freeze. They don't know where to go.
I thought I was pretty knowledgeable about adoption, but as I read all of the reasons that a birth mother would place a child for adoption, I was amazed. It was like almost a dozen of them, all very valid and all very selfless. If you've seen a mother place a child for adoption, you know the heartache and the pain involved in that. And then there are 3 different kinds of adoption that people can engage in the United States.
There is open adoption, semi-open adoption, or closed adoption. And really we're going towards semi-open to open adoption, where people have more contact. Birth mothers can choose the adopted family they want. A lot of them are choosing Christian families. They want to have their children. After 9/11, we're seeing more and more people asking for families with faith and families that can provide an education for them. That's why they're doing this, because they want a better life for their child, and they're sacrificing, very much like biblical times, sacrificing for their child, for the betterment of the child. So birth moms have to be honored, and I honor my birth mothers. It's very important.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. And so adoptive parents need to go in and they need to understand the heart of a birth mother also, so they can empathize with them and appreciate the gift they are getting.
Well, there is so much information on this. You need to check out Mardie Caldwell's books. This one is called Adoption, Your Step-by-Step Guide. And she's got another little one called So I Was Thinking About Adoption, and now you say there's yet another.
The new one's a Christian guide, and it's called Call to Adoption. And people can go to calltoadoption.com and get information. Actually download a free sample chapter, and we're pre-selling that right now. It should be out in a couple months, but it's really a guide for Christian families that want want to adopt that need financing, need to know where to go. But you know, there's help out there. We had 3 sets of twins born in October, the month of October. So you know, and they all, of course, stay together. What a wonderful blessing, and you'll see a lot around the holiday time.
Oh, and there's such a need in this country to make a difference in the foster care system.
Right.
So Christian families, open your doors, open your hearts. By the way, these books are available in stores nationwide. Thank you, Mardie, for what you do. You make a complicated system very simple for us.